My name is Brittany Jones, and my husband and I pastor Motivation Church in Richmond, Virginia. And about 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional household and dysfunctional community. I was abused sexually from the age of 5 until I was 15 years old. So I was pretty familiar with trauma. But about 7 years ago, I was officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder after bouts of sleepless nights and depression that was debilitating to the point of not being able to get out of my bed. And so I'd seen a series of therapists, and I went to a psychiatrist recommended by my therapist who officially diagnosed me, and we started this process of walking through what it's like to become recovered in this illness. And so I am 7 years in still and walking this journey out, and I found in the process that it's not impossible to find joy, peace, wholeness in the midst of having mental illness. And there are days that I still struggle. There are days that are really, really hard, days that I don't want to get out of bed, but I lead worship at our church. And so I have become very open and vulnerable with our church because it's real. And I know many people in our church that struggle with mental health, struggle with mental illness. And I didn't want to become someone that hid behind my illness and just try to fake it till I made it. There are days that I get on stage and I barely have anything left to give, but I tap into the grace of God that helps me to walk out what I need to walk out. And so I found that it's not impossible to live life and do ministry. It's not impossible for me to get on that stage and encourage people when I'm in the roughest place of my life, because God's grace has been so sufficient for me, and it's given me peace and it's given me joy, even in the times that are incredibly hard. And also, like, I've spent time where I've just cried out to the Lord and asked the Lord the questions that maybe we don't want to ask. Sometimes you have to ask God why. And so I've asked God why, and I've spent time intentionally in God's presence, even on the days that are just really, really hard. And God meets you right where you are. That's not impossible even for our God. Like, He meets you exactly where you are. And so this journey has been very interesting, and I'm still walking it out. And there's still many ways that I'm learning how to overcome, and there's many ways that I'm learning how to just become better. But I'm consistent. There are a few things that I do. I go to therapy weekly. I go to my psychiatrist monthly, and I make sure that I take the medication that I'm supposed to take, that I go and do things that are giving me life, that is self-care for me. And so if you're in ministry, if you're a leader in the church and you just need somebody to encourage you, let me just remind you that the hard things that you need to do, you can do it. Just make sure you're consistent and lean into the Father.